Hello students, I welcome you to time classes. This is a special video on tips and strategy for the English language section of SBI Clerk Mains exam. Considering the fact that there is very less time available, we thought we should bring this video to you, and we are going to focus on practical tips and practical strategy for the test so that you benefit from this session and you prepare on these lines in the available time and score as greatly as possible in the exam. So let's get started. Let's have a quick overview of the English language section. As you know, there will be 40 questions in the English section and for 40 marks. 40 questions for 40 marks. Unfortunately, only 35 minutes. And considering the fact that a lot of reading will be done, or reading is to be done, because there will be reading passages. You may get as many as 2 passages, and even a lot of other questions involve a lot of reading. So I call this SBI Clerk's main exam a reading based test basically. Considering that fact, these 35 minutes as against 40 questions is a little bit of big stumbling block for some students, because the average time per question obviously is less than 1 minute per question. Which means there is a need for speed. There is a great need for speed. So if you do not develop your speed in the available time, if you do not work on speed strategies in the available time, then you will be one of the low scoring students. Please develop your speed, work on speed as greatly as possible. 10 days or for that matter whatever time is available with you can make a big difference to you if you work on speed. So remember that. Then let's look at the question types themselves. The clerical mains pattern based on 2018-19 exams is likely to be somewhat like this. You will get RC for sure. Without RC you cannot expect the clerical mains SBI exam, and up to 16 questions, even 17 questions could be there. You can expect 2 passages for sure, and they will be long. They will not be easy for sure, not definitely as easy as your clerical test, as easy as your prelims test. So please be mindful of that. 2 passages, slightly longish ones, could be difficult and complicated as well. And adding to this fact is another unpleasant fact, and that is you can even have inference questions in the RC passages. Inference based questions. This is a new trend in the SBI clerical mains exam. So inference questions, as you know, are very difficult. They could also be there. So this is one important thing. So 12 to 16 or even 17 questions of RC, including inference questions. Then paraformation questions could also be there. Parajumbles are a given, right? Up to 5 questions could be there on PJs, parajumbles, and that is another deadly question type, compulsory question type, which of course requires a lot of reading practice. Reading plus a lot of reasoning practice as well, a lot of logical thinking, logical connections, etc. You know that. Then there could also be fill in the blank questions. 5 to 7 questions can be there. The fill in the blank questions could be of slightly new models. I'm sure you have seen these in mocks. So fill in the blank questions can also be expected. Synonym antonym questions, especially in context based synonym antonym questions could also be there. Up to 7 questions can be there. 5 to 7 questions. Not direct synonym antonym questions, context based ones. As you must have by now realized that words change their meanings depending on the context. So context based synonym antonym questions could also be there. Up to 7 questions. So as I said, the mains exam can't be easier, right? And error identification questions, you can expect up to 2 questions. Phrases and idioms, up to 3 questions. And word usage questions could also be there. Up to 4 questions can be expected. And close test, of course, is a compulsory, almost compulsory, question type. You can expect 5, blank close test or close passage. Now, if you analyze these question types, what do you actually understand? This is something that requires a lot of reading. Even paraformation questions, if you ask me, require a lot of reading understanding, etc. If you don't read and understand, then you can't answer those questions. And fill in the blank questions may look like vocabulary questions, but they are also reading based questions, because if you don't understand the context or the sentence, etc., completely, correctly, thoroughly, then again you will not be able to answer the question, which means that also requires a lot of reading. Then what about, closed test? This again is often referred to as closed passage by some people. Okay, so that also is the reader's test. So if you consider these 4 question types, okay, 12 plus 2, 14 plus 4, 5, 19, okay, 19 plus 5, how much is that? 24. And this would be 16 plus 5, 21 plus 5, that is 28, okay, plus 5, 33, okay. So you see 24 to 33 questions are reader based questions, reading based questions, okay. The remaining, questions like 5 to, let us say 12 questions are the non-reader, 5 to 16 questions, roughly around 16 questions, okay. You can say 7 to 16 questions, okay, roughly around 7 to 16 questions. Let me clear the slide. So 24 to, let's say 30 roundabout, and 10 to 16 the rest of the question types. So what I'm trying to suggest here is that if you are not a reader, if you do not read a lot, okay, if you do not develop reading skills in the available time, and along with that speed, then you are in serious trouble. Okay, I hope it is clear. So basically you are supposed to develop your reading. If you have not already developed, at least use these available days and develop your reading skills as greatly as possible. So that's my point. The fact of clerical mains exam is, the English language section is, it's a reader's test. I hope I have made that clear. With that, let's go to the other critically important points. So a few critically important points that I would like you people to remember in the available time. A few I've already repeated. The level of the exam is obviously higher than in prelims. It goes without saying. And the mains English is a reader's test. I've already proved that to you. Then speed is something that I've already talked about. Speed and speed reading are the key. Okay. Speed and speed reading are the key. You have to really be fast at everything. Super fast actually. And then the most important factor I would say is the strategy development. Please, in the available time, based on your mock performance, based on your practice tests, etc., okay, develop a strategy for the exam. Okay, don't go to the exam without a strategy. It's like you are going to a war without any weapons. It's very deadly. Okay, so develop a strategy based on SWOT analysis. What is SWOT analysis? Okay, based on your mock performances, you are supposed to identify your strengths, okay, your weaknesses, okay, then O for opportunities, okay, and T for threats. Now in commerce, okay, whatever SWOT analysis is, that's a different thing. This is my definition of SWOT analysis for your exam, for your strategy. You of course know what strengths are, right? Strengths are those areas or those question types that you are really exceptionally good at, okay, and weaknesses are those areas that you are not good at all. You are very weak in those areas. Almost always you get wrong answers, or you do not attempt those questions. Okay, these are your strengths and weaknesses. But it's not just it's not enough to be just aware of strengths and weaknesses. Okay, you should also know your opportunities and threats. Now what are they? What are opportunities? Now opportunities are those areas or question types which are of course your strengths, but other students are weak in those areas. You get my point? Okay, your strong areas are so strong that some other students, most other students, not some other students, most other students are weak in those areas. For example, RC is generally, weak area for many students. I was talking about inference questions. Okay, they're really tricky, difficult for many students. Okay, parajumble, for example, a big difficulty for many students. So what if these are your strengths? Other students are weak in these areas, but you are strong in those areas. You are good at these areas. Okay, which means these are your opportunities. Such factors actually ensure that you get more score than the others, because ultimately it's a relative performance test. You should score more than the others. Got it? Okay, it's not like if you score, this much or that much, then everything will be decided. You should ensure that you score more than the others. That's how the game is played. So these are opportunities. Opportunities are your strengths in which others are weak. Threats are exact opposite to that. Okay, exactly opposite to that. Threats are those weaknesses of yours in which others are strong. Now these will make you get defeated in the battle. Why am I talking about opportunities and threats? Because if you identify such areas, let us say there is a certain weak area which everybody is weak in. Okay, so you have one of the two options. If everybody is weak in those areas, you are also weak. One of the two possibilities is, one is just give up. Doesn't matter much anyway, because everybody is weak in that area, which is very unlikely, but let's say that is what is happening. So don't worry much. But if you convert that one of those weak areas into your strengths, then you see you have an opportunity. You see my point? That way what will happen? You will score definitely more than these other guys. That's how the game is played. So I hope I made myself clear. Work not just on your strengths and weaknesses, but also on the opportunities and threats. Okay, so take care about that. So these are the generally critically important points that you must remember, and we go to the general preparation GAN now. Okay, my general preparation GAN number 1, is that do not spend much time on revising basics or fundas. In the available time, which is very less, please don't spend a lot of time, much time on revising your basics and fundas, etc. Some students are likely to do that. Don't do that, because your focus should be actually on considering the fact that there is less time available. Only on practice and practice. Practice. That should be your primary, funda. Instead of, going back to the basics, please practice. Because practice means the fundas will be automatically refreshed. If you separately, try to revise your concepts and basic fundas, etc., then you will be in trouble. You will end up wasting a lot of time. Don't forget the fact that you have cleared the, the preliminary exam already. Okay, so that means your fundas must be already good. So be a little bit confident. Okay, so practice is the key. Practice sectionals, practice exercise, practice mocks. Okay, in fact, I may go one step ahead and say this. This may look a little bit weird for some. Okay, re-practice some of your mocks, some of those critically important mocks. Okay, re-practice them, retake them, but then focus on practicing. That's the point. That will take care of everything. Okay, and then very, very important GAN or advice obviously is read the Hindu and Times of India editorials at any cost. Compulsorily every day in the available time, both the Hindu and the Times of India's editorials must be read as a rule every day. But when? After breakfast. Okay, after breakfast, because I have something else for you for before breakfast. Before breakfast, please do this. Speed read the head pages of both Times of India and the Hindu. Okay, what is speed reading? Now do this before breakfast. This works only, if you do it before breakfast. Okay, so after your daily ablutions, etc. Okay, when breakfast is getting ready, you take the Times of India and you take the Hindu, and as if in a hurry, as if somebody will, snatch your breakfast if you don't do this fast, you are going to read the Hindu and the Times of India head pages as fast as possible. Like, normally let us say somebody takes, 40 minutes to read the entire head page. Okay, you are going to try to finish it in maybe 10, maybe 15 minutes. Whether you understand everything thoroughly or not, whether you follow everything or not, don't worry. Okay, because this is how you increase your speed. Okay, in the available time, trust me, this works. Okay, in 10 to 15 minutes, you will try to finish the entire head page, only the head page. And do this with both the Hindu and the Times of India. Okay, before breakfast. And after you have breakfast, okay, now take some, 30, let's say 40 minutes to okay, 50 minutes time and read the Hindu editorials and the Times of India editorials properly, thoroughly, digesting everything. Of course, fast, but not like, super fast. Okay, applying all your, skills, etc. So do this, my dear friends, in the available time, you will definitely benefit. Trust me on this. Then we go to General Preparatory Gyan 2. General Preparation Gyan 2. What is that? As you know, patterns and models may change, but some areas are definite. Areas are definite, particularly RC, for example. Come what may, okay, RC will be there in the exam. Okay, as I said, at least 2 passages. So please, come what may, don't avoid RC. Okay, if you somehow manage to clear the preliminary exam, okay, without RC, forget that. Now you can't do that. You have to, somehow manage this RC hurdle. Okay, avoiding RC hurdle and managing the rest, would be like very futile, because I already told you, most of the questions are reading based questions. Okay, they involve a lot of reading. So it will do you good if you actually develop your RC. Okay, and in available time, with the kind of method that I already discussed, you can do it. You can definitely do it. Trust me on this. Okay, so don't try to avoid this. That tendency to be in denial or avoiding RC, etc. will not work. Okay. Then the other 2 compulsory areas are vocab and grammar. Number could be small, but vocab and grammar are definitely going to be there. Okay, more of reading questions. Okay, vocab and grammar could be less in number or smaller in number, but they will be there. Okay, so don't ignore these areas. Okay, don't ignore these areas. You should be thorough with the reading comprehension skills. You should also be thorough with vocabulary and grammar. Okay, because these, okay, in some or the other proportions will be there. So you will be safe. Okay, if you prepare for these 3 areas. Okay, the other area, the 4th area, reasoning based questions. Okay, the verbal reasoning based questions. Okay, will also be there. Okay, but I have put that separately because that requires advanced skills. Only those who are good at reading can, develop those skills. So if you are already good at RC, okay, and let's say you are not so good at vocab and grammar, then focus on this also. Okay, let me be clear. You are good at RC and not so good at vocab and grammar, then focus on this, because those who are good at RC, okay, are better able, okay, to prepare or manage verbal reasoning questions. I hope that I made myself clear. Okay, however, if you are not so good at RC, okay, try to develop RC first and focus on vocab and grammar. Don't worry much about verbal reasoning in the available time, because in the short period of time available, you cannot develop that as a great strength of yours. Okay, so particular specific strategy for each question type now. Okay, the exam level strategy for reading comprehension. This is my suggestion. Okay, and of course, okay, my disclaimer would be, okay, don't make drastic changes in your strategy. Okay, let me be clear. If something has worked for you and if something is working for you in your mocks, etc., go ahead. Apply that only. Just because I am saying something immediately drastically, if you make changes, then it might actually backfire. Okay, I don't want that to happen. So let me be clear about that. So suggested exam strategy for reading comprehension would be, number 1, read the first question first. Okay, read the question first. This is this question QP method. Question first, passage later. Okay, read the question first. And what will you do after reading the question? You run to the passage and look for the answer, or what? No. Okay, I am not suggesting that you read the question first to go back to the passage and look for the answer. No, I am not suggesting that. Read the question first to anticipate or guess the subject area, the topic, the theme, etc. Okay, guess. This is called anticipation. It's like looking at the poster before going to a movie. Okay, what will it help you with? It will help you to get more involved when you read the passage. You will not feel lost. You will not feel like what is happening, etc. Why? You already know what the topic is. If one question stem does not help you, read 2 questions. But some anticipation should be there. Then quickly go to the passage and quickly read it to gather the topic, the central idea, the main supporting ideas, the conclusion, tone, etc. We have already discussed such fundas in our basics classes. Don't forget that. The key is central idea. Never ever okay, say that you have finished the passage and you don't know what the central idea is. Okay, if you feel lost in the first para, read it twice. Okay, but central idea and what is happening should be very, very clear to you when you finish the first para. If after the first para you feel lost, read it again quickly. Okay, it is definitely better than reading the entire passage and feeling lost and reading the whole passage again. I hope it is clear. Okay, so central idea is the key, guys. Okay, if you have the central idea, you have the key to unlock every question. Okay, that's the key. Okay, so if you want to know more about such things, obviously, okay, check your notes or rewatch the sessions if possible, etc. So that is what you should do. Questions first and anticipate and then read the passage. Third, make quick notes of the highlights. Okay, this topic, what the topic is, what the central idea, what the main supporting idea, what the conclusion is, what the tone is. Make quick notes. I'm sure you can make notes. You know that. Okay, make notes. I'll tell you why note making is important. It will improve your concentration. It's a little known fact. Those who make notes understand the passage better than those who do not make notes. It's a fact. Research based fact. Okay. So do that. Okay. And then answer the questions. Mark answers only if 100% sure. Okay. If you're not 100% sure, go back to the passage quickly and check and confirm and answer. But be 100% sure. Don't say, I feel, B is possible and answer. Don't do that. Okay. Doubt is dangerous. Okay. Be 100% sure about the answers. And then the fifth, raises the question, what about inference based questions? For inference based questions, my dear friends, I have a separate suggestion for you. Okay. Read the choices first. Inference based questions are very deadly. The word inference is, okay, an indirectly understood idea. And this is a very simple definition for your information. Okay, in exams like GMAT, GR, etc., critical definitions can be, are available. But my point is, simply put, what is inference? Indirectly understood idea, which means it is not directly stated. It is not directly stated. So, what is the best way of dealing with inference questions? Read the choices first and then go back to the passage to check which of them can be definitely confirmed based on the information in the passage. So reverse engineering helps a lot when it comes to inference based questions. Okay, makes sense? Try it and you'll know what I mean. Then third part is be aware that wrong choices are usually exaggerations. Okay, wrong answers, not only for inference questions, even for other RC questions. Okay, wrong answer choices are exaggerations or extremes or opposites to what is given in the passage. True but not given. Some answer choices are true based on the passage but not mentioned in the passage. Okay, some are true but not asked for. Okay, they are true. Okay, but that's not what the question is asking. So be careful. Some are like personal opinions. Okay, some cannot be understood at all types. So don't just focus on getting the right answers. Okay, focus also on eliminating the wrong answers. Okay, so please remember this. Elimination is one of the best strategies for reading comprehension and inference questions. Don't forget that. With that, we move to the grammar questions. Okay, when it comes to grammar questions, the general advice that we give is take the help of choices in questions other than error identification and phrase replacement. Okay, so if it is error identification and phrase replacement, do this. What is that you should do? Okay, you should ensure that you practice a lot now, that is available time. Okay, for clarity and confidence. Because error identification and phrase replacement requires immediate, memory of the point being talked about in the question, and you should quickly answer it. Okay, and when it comes to other question types on grammar, okay, like for instance, sentence combining. Okay, for such things, take the help of choices. Okay, see what is happening among the choices. If the choices can help you, etc., that will increase the speed of your attempt, and it will also have a very positive impact on the accuracy of your answers. I hope it is clear. Then what about strategy for synonym antonym questions? Okay, obviously check the choices and words first and decide how many words you know. Okay, and accordingly attempt. It would obviously be, very stupid if you are attempting a question in which, most of the words are not known to you. Even if it is, context based synonym antonym question, first check how many of the choices you know. If out of 4 choices you don't know 3, then it doesn't make sense for you to attempt. If at least 2 are known to you, then you can, fairly go ahead and attempt, because if you are lucky, one of those 2 words could be the answer, but you should be careful. If you know 3 words, then you are, really capable of attempting the question. If all the 4 words are known, then definitely attempt it. I hope I made it clear. Then coming to word usage, fill in the blank and close test questions. Okay, when it comes to these, please check the choices again and see whether you know the words or not. Same logic applies. Okay, if most of the words for a blank are difficult words and you do not know any of them, then it doesn't make sense to attempt. How will you answer the question if you don't know the words? So don't forget that. Attempt only if you know most of them, as I said. And specifically for fill in the blanks and close test, please answer only based on the sentence, paragraph, clues, etc. In our sessions, we have already discussed, clues. In some of the mock discussions, mock discussion videos also, I talked about what clues, etc. are. There has to be some hint or basis for your answer. Okay, based on something, if you are giving the answer, then it makes sense. You are just like that substituting or eliminating, then it is definitely wrong. So be careful about that. So that's your strategy, specific strategy for word usage, fill in the blanks and close test questions. Then let me talk about one possible overall strategy. Okay, overall strategy or order of attempts, for your questions in the final exam. Okay, now obviously one strategy fits all is not possible, right? How can I give one single strategy and expect every student to apply it? Not possible, right? So let's categorize you into 3 groups. Okay, group A, group B, group C. I'll tell you what group C shortly. Group A is of that students or that aspirants who are better at vocab, grammar than RC. Their strong areas are vocab and grammar than RC. So obviously it makes sense for you to attempt grammar and vocab questions first, and obviously fill in the blanks and close test later, and then you go for the higher level difficulty questions like parajumbles and reading comprehension questions. Now whether you attempt grammar first, okay, vocab second, or vocab first and grammar later, your choice. It's not a big deal. Okay, but definitely start with your strong areas. Okay, it makes sense, right? Okay, grammar, vocab first, and then fill in the blanks and close test, then RC and parajumble questions later. Okay, now if you belong to group B, you are someone who is better at RC than vocab and grammar, then please, this may look a little bit weird and awkward again, start with RC. Okay, because RC, if you start with, okay, it will really help you. Okay, meaning you are strong at RC, right? So obviously it makes sense, sense for you to start with RC. You are at peace. You have just begun, you have plenty of time. Okay, of course you should work on speed, but the point I am trying to say is, if you are good at RC, you are already obviously, someone who is fast at RC, right? So you won't have to rush like, some others do. Some other students, who attempt RC last, but are good at that, have to rush through that. So you don't have to do that. Okay, so you are good at RC and not so good at vocab and grammar, start with RC. Then go to parajumble and para-based questions, inference questions, etc. And then go to the others. Okay, because anyway you are, you have already dealt with your strengths. You can, speedily do these remaining questions, and they anyway are questions, that don't require, extraordinary speed, like Superman speed, etc. are not required for these questions. So even if you deal with them a little bit faster than usual, doesn't matter a lot. I hope it is clear. Now, who is this group C? Okay, group C is someone who is good at, okay, all the areas, vocab, grammar, everything, he is good at. Okay, then what should he or she do? Okay, I suggest that he or she, okay, start with vocab and grammar first. Okay, I am talking about group C now. Okay, vocab and grammar first. Okay, and then RC. Okay, then the rest. Okay, definitely, parajumble, para-based questions should be attempted last by such a student. Okay, vocab, grammar questions first. Okay, RC, maybe, fill in the blank and close test second, then RC, okay, and then parajumble and para-based inference questions. Now, why you may say you are good at all the areas, why should we start with vocab? Because these have higher certainty levels. Your confidence level will increase if you start with these. Okay, because you are anyway good at RC and all the other areas, so why should you worry? Okay, these will improve your confidence levels. Okay, these can sometimes, how should I say, go wrong, could be difficult, etc. Okay, so anybody who is from group C, that is good at all areas, should start with vocab grammar, should go to fill in the blank and close test, then RC, finally end the session or end the movie or your whatever, with para-jumble and para-based inference questions. Okay, so that is my suggestion. Now, one thing I would like to say before saying goodbye is, okay, the moment you get the paper, okay, have a quick overview. I did not discuss this separately. Have a quick overview of the entire paper. See what question types are given, what areas at least. Don't look specifically at each question type, but in general check the areas. Okay, how many RCs are there, how many vocab questions are there, how many grammar questions are there, how many para-jumbles, is closed test there or not. This you should check in 1 minute's time, and that again you should practice in your mocks. Okay, this is really helpful. Quickly, click on all the question numbers and as fast as possible check everything and then decide your strategy, depending on, of course, your SWOT analysis which we discussed. So I hope this really helps you. I wish you all the best for your exam. Thank you very much. Hope to see you again. Goodbye.